The story begins with Vince, an older man standing at the local station, eagerly waiting for the arrival of his son, Sam, who has spent many years living and studying abroad. When Sam finally steps off, Vince's face lights up with sheer joy and relief. The two climb into a car and begin the drive back to their quiet town. Because Sam is Vince's only child, his homecoming is a major event, and the local townsfolk gather around to welcome him warmly, thrilled to see the young man back on home soil. As Sam steps inside his father's house, he is greeted first by the household maid, who offers a polite welcome. Moments later, Vince introduces him to Lisa, his stunningly young new wife. Sam freezes completely, his eyes widening in total shock and disbelief. Vince gently explains that after Sam's mother passed away, he became desperately lonely, which led him to marry Lisa just last year. Sam had no prior knowledge of this marriage whatsoever. Yet surprisingly, he harbors no anger or resentment toward his father for springing this surprise on him. That very night, Vince hosts a grand celebration party to welcome Sam back, inviting all his close friends from around town. During the festivities, Vince's friends pull him aside and share cynical warnings and local gossip. They remark that boys who spend years abroad often return with unusual habits or prefer the company of other men, advising Vince to keep a very close eye on his son. Vince dismisses their prejudices completely, refusing to let their narrow-minded talk ruin the evening, and tells everyone to sit down and enjoy their food. Meanwhile, Sam is walking through the quiet hallways of the house looking for a book when he accidentally spots Lisa preparing for bed in her room. Lisa notices his shadow, turns around, and gently invites him over, wanting to strike up a conversation and connect with her new stepson. However, Sam ignores her entirely, avoids her gaze, and walks away in complete silence back to his own room. Later that night, when Sam steps out again, he runs into an old friend whose hair is cut short in a distinctively boyish, masculine style. Vince happens to spot them leaving the house together. When Vince questions him about it, Sam casually replies that he will be back by morning, and an uneasy Vince lets him leave. The next morning, Sam takes over the kitchen and insists on cooking his own breakfast. The maid rushes in, trying to stop him and take over the chores, but Sam completely ignores her protests and continues cooking. Just then, Lisa and Vince walk into the kitchen, having been alerted by the flustered maid. Instead of being upset, Vince is deeply impressed, feels a sudden surge of affection, and decides it is high time for Sam to step up and take over the family business. Post-breakfast, Vince takes Sam down to his industrial factory, which employs several young women. Walking him through the noisy floor, Vince points to a woman named Maria, calling her the most beautiful girl in the entire factory. He deliberately leads Sam over to Maria, hoping to spark a romance between the two young people. Maria, who finds Sam instantly attractive, is more than willing to connect with him. Vince happily leaves them alone, thinking his matchmaking plan is working out. However, Sam shows zero romantic interest in Maria and abruptly walks away. Maria later complains to Vince that his son is completely useless, leaving Vince deeply troubled, confused, and worried about what the town will think. Frustrated by Maria's rejection, Vince listens all too closely to the malicious gossip of his friends. The next morning, he concocts a lie, telling Sam to visit a woman named Sophia to collect some money and return immediately. In reality, Sophia is a local woman who sells her body for money. When Sam arrives at her place, Sophia immediately tries to seduce him, but Sam instantly sees through her intentions, insults her harshly for her lifestyle, and storms out of the house in disgust. Infuriated by the insult, Sophia immediately spreads the rumor across the entire town that Vince's son is defective and abnormal. Soon, the townsfolk swarm Vince in the streets, warning him that his son is bound to marry a man and urging him to pay closer attention to his behavior. These relentless whispers leave Vince deeply stressed, anxious, and humiliated in front of his peers. A few days later, a local festival and fair are announced in town. At home, Sam notices Lisa sitting alone and looking deeply depressed. When he asks what is wrong, Lisa breaks down in tears, revealing that the entire town is mocking them ruthlessly. She explains that everyone believes Sam has no interest in women and will end up marrying a man, bringing absolute shame upon their household. Sam defends himself, stating he simply isn't ready to marry yet and has no interest in the local women because he intends to travel back or marry a foreign girl someday. Lisa refuses to believe a word of it, calling him a liar to his face and challenging him to prove his manhood right then and there. Pushed to the edge, Sam passionately pulls her close and makes love to her to prove his feelings. Meanwhile, gossip at the local fair continues to run wild that Sam will inevitably disgrace his father's name. When Vince returns home unexpectedly early from his errands, he walks right in on Sam and Lisa together. Stunned into absolute disbelief, Vince's mind races. He feels a sudden wave of relief knowing his son is not defective, but that relief is instantly crushed by the devastating betrayal of his own wife and son sleeping together under his roof. Outside the house, a group of local boys throw rocks and objects at the windows, mocking Sam loudly. Vince rushes out and drives them away with harsh shouts and insults. Back inside, the suffocating anger overtakes him completely, and he grabs his hunting gun from the corner, intending to execute both Sam and Lisa in cold blood. Deep fear of the law in prison pauses him for a fraction of a second. The maid rushes into the room and frantically tries to wrestle the heavy gun out of his hands. The loud commotion draws Lisa out into the hallway. The moment Vince lays eyes on her, his blood boils with pure blinding rage. Suppressing the urge to shoot right then and there, he jerks away and locks himself inside his bedroom. Now even his own bed sickens him, haunted by the agonizing memory of Lisa and Sam sharing it. The next morning, a tense and brooding Vince forces Sam to accompany him to work, demanding on the way that he get married to a proper woman as soon as possible. When Sam flatly refuses, Vince flies into a fit of rage. Vince heads straight to a local church to seek counsel from his priest friend, confessing that Sam refuses to marry anyone. The priest dismisses him coldly, stating that the whole town already knows Sam is defective and will definitely marry a man. Vince tries desperately to defend Sam's honor, but the priest refuses to believe him. Because exposing the truth about Lisa and Sam would utterly ruin his own social reputation, Vince remains trapped in torturous silence. Returning home, Vince orders the maid to try and convince Sam to get married. When the maid expresses doubt about her chances, Vince screams at her in absolute fury. He then visits another close friend for advice on how to handle a stubborn son. The friend mocks him mercilessly, saying he should have known the truth the moment Sam rejected Maria and insulted Sophia. Noting that a guy who insists on cooking his own breakfast is definitely going to end up marrying a man, playing the wife's role in the relationship. Vince is driven to the edge of madness, unable to voice the real painful reason he wants Sam married: to get Lisa out of his house and out of his sight. Elsewhere in the house, Sam and Lisa hatch a desperate plan to elope, wanting Sam to talk to Vince one last time to clear the air. Sam tells Vince directly that Lisa's unhappy with him and that they want to get married to each other. Vince explodes with volcanic fury, declaring that he already knows about their secret affair, and that is precisely why he wanted Sam married off to someone else to begin with. Sam stands his ground firmly, shouting that Lisa belongs to him and he cannot live without her, before walking away from the argument. The next morning, Vince tells his terrified maid, "I am going to have 2 murders on my hands today." Sam overhears this chilling threat from the hallway and flees the house in sheer terror. Lisa hears the commotion, realizes what is happening, and chases desperately after Sam. Meanwhile, Vince grabs his loaded gun and marches out into the town square, shouting to everyone within earshot that he will finally prove his son is normal once and for all, and demanding the entire town follow him to see the truth unfold. Sam and Lisa reach a secluded waterfall at the edge of the woods and embrace passionately. Moments later, Vince and the entire mob of townsfolk arrive at the scene, catching the 2 lovers red-handed in the open. Completely broken down and pushed far past the brink of sanity, Vince starts screaming hysterically at the crowd, pointing wildly and shouting that his son isn't gay. He is stolen and married his own stepmother instead. The public humiliation completely shatters Vince's mind, driving him permanently insane on the spot. In the film's final moments, Sam takes Lisa by the hand and leaves the country for good, abandoning the town entirely and leaving Vince behind all alone, wandering lost in his own shattered madness.